boys and girls. So today I'm actually doing the second part of a video that I first did about 8 months ago, right when Season 13 first launched. At that point, I was trying to figure out what the new build for a beamboat in ISA to do DPS would be. Obviously at the time, plasma consoles were no longer a thing, feedback pulse wasn't a thing anymore. So really, that build was pretty much the same old thing. I just took off the science consoles, I took off feedback pulse, threw in some consoles in place of it, and whipped out, I think it was about 102k, which, you know, not bad. But this is the second version I've worked up to. Now, that was 8 months ago. Took a decent amount of time off from the game, to be honest. Not so much because of the changes or anything like that. I had just been playing pretty hardcore for a while, kind of needed a little time away. But I've been back for a few weeks now, having fun, and decided it was time to start pushing the envelope. So this is the second version of our build here. There's actually some changes I've already kind of theorized based on some builds other people have posted, some things I wanted to try. That will be in our next version, and we'll see if that's better or worse. But we're going to take a look at this right now. We're running the Kofesh, I don't know, Tactical Dreadnought, the Scimitar, T6. So up front, you're going to see obviously the familiar, the Terran Task Force Disruptor Beam, still probably the hardest hitting single beam in the game. Then we're running the Nausicaan Energy Torp. Now this is a mission reward. Then we're running the Nausicaan Beam, obviously together, these two things, and the console down here are going to give us a set bonus that is pretty nice. So the 3-piece is 22.9 disruptor damage, and then plus 50 Starship Hull Pen. Not bad. The 2-piece is the disruptor net gains 782 disruptor damage per second for 5 seconds in addition to its normal effect. So yeah, that's the proc off of the beam itself. So after that, we're running coalitions again. These are just the coalitions I had. I've seen people also running just regular crafted disruptor now that coalition beams aren't quite stacking the way they were with their disruptor debuff. So now for a deflector, on the old build I was still running the Iconian 4-piece, which I think is still nice, but right now the deflector that I found, which is from the colony, now this is from a tier 3 colony, I believe, so not everybody's going to have the capability of getting this quite yet. You know, but if you know anybody who can give you an invite to a fleet that does, it's really nice. We've talked about this deflector a few different times. If you guys watch me and Astro Zombie on STO Tech Trek, we've talked about it a few times. The biggest thing about this one is the Cull Crit mod you see there, which is giving us plus 15 crit severity based on hull percentage and plus 4 critical chance. So now, right now, I'm at 100%, so that's what it's giving us. It is also giving us Drain X times 2, EPS, which is always nice. As you can see, there's some shield pen, weapon specialization, with plus 20 to that, which is also going to improve our crits. And then at Epic, shield and hull cap. So Impulse and shield, I'm going Nakora 2-piece. That is giving us a 5% bonus to energy weapon damage. And then for the singularity, it's the Elite Fleet Thoron Infused. Now, you'll see I'm also running the Kinetic Cutting Beam with the assimilated console for a bit of an old school 2-piece set. I've seen that the Kinetic Cutting Beam is actually doing some pretty good damage again. And this is the Omega Weapon Amplifier, pretty much just giving us added power, power drain resistance, and negative power cost, which is really nice. So console-wise, we have the Dynamic Power Redistributor, which is something you're going to see on most every build these days when you're chasing damage. This is from the prototype. We have a console from the NX here. This is the Point Defense Bombardment Warhead. It's giving us a bonus to projectile damage, which, if I am not mistaken, I believe, since this photon is an energy weapon, I believe if it says kinetic damage, obviously it will not boost it. If it says torpedo, I believe it does not boost it. Not sure why, because it is called a torpedo. But projectile actually does boost it, so I believe that's actually working. So, and then it's giving us the 1% to crit chance, and it's clicky, does a point defense bombardment warhead that does some kinetic damage. It's not bad, but it's 2-piece with the dynamic. And that 2-piece is giving us the Alliance weaponry, which is plus 33%. That would be Cat 1. 2 phaser disruptor or plasma. All of these weapons, except for the kinetic cutter beam, are disruptor, so that works. We talked about the assimilated. We talked about the Nausicaa and Siphon capacitor, which is giving us drain, power transfer rate, and disruptor damage. Now the other 2 consoles are the flagship tactical computer and the adaptive emergency systems. Now these are what I'm running on this build. You could see these are the consoles from these command ships like the Oddies and the Scimitars. The other console you could put in place of this one, I actually did want it for the plus 50 bonus all damage was the Cat 1, and then, or sorry, damage resistance, and then the plus 30 bonus all damage. You could use in this place is Timeline Stabilizer, which is probably still good, but I kind of moved away from it just during testing. Now and then we'll take a look here at the flagship tactical computer, which is really nice, which is giving us flight speed, flight turn rate, fire cycle haste for energy weapons, and then the 2-piece is going to give us crit chance and flight turn rate, so that's really nice. Tactical wise, we're running our 4 locators, and then I have put in my bioneural there. You could take out one of these if you wanted to run 5 locators and put the bioneural here in place of the assimilated if you didn't want that with the KCB. You know, just showing you kind of what we're doing with this build right now. Hangar, obviously elite Romulan drone ships. Now you see at the same time I have my duty officers here. I'm running a Space Warfare Specialist, Emergency Con Hologram to get my evasive cooldown. I'm running a stacking crit chance and a stacking crit severity, purple energy weapon officer, and 2 technicians for aux to bat. So we'll go down the skills real fast. We're using temporal operative and strategist, so that's still as it was previous in the other run that I showed. Still using focus frenzy, the tactical ultimate. That's where our skills are. Take a look at traits. You'll see pretty much the basic stuff here. Romulan operative, inspirational leader, self-modulating fire, good day to die, point blank. So, basic stuff. Starship traits, emergency weapon cycle, supremacy, and tactical analysis. Then we're using 2 of the newer traits, redirecting arrays, which is from the tactical miracle worker ship. This is extending the duration of fire at will based on incoming damage. So it seems that still actually having some aggro, nowhere near as much as before, is still not a bad thing. And unless you're running with kind of dedicated tanks, if you're running higher DPS, most likely you're going to take in a decent amount of the attacks anyway. So, and then the other trait here, again, if you watched any of my other videos or watched me and Astro on STO Tech Trek, which you can find the link below, we've talked about Cold Hearted. This is from the new Breen ship, and it's pretty much like a Beta 3 whenever you use aux to bat or pilot abilities. So, Space Rep, we have our crit chance, we have our pen, we have our advanced hull reinforcement for a little damage resistance rating, we have tactical advantage, and our crit severity. So we'll look at stations here. Nothing crazy, just your 2 copies of our aux to bat. We have our Beta 3, Fire at Will, Spread 2, and then here we are using structural analysis instead of maybe like a subspace vortex or destabilizing resonance. Another ability that's giving us all damage resistance rating negative for against the foe. Oh, I mean that debuff is DPS. That's what Beta is so strong. That's why Tholian Mesh Weavers on Recluses are so strong. So, and then here we're using distributed targeting, which chains damage on nearby targets. So that's the basic overlay of what this build is looking like. Like I said, I didn't do too many runs with the old version of the build I had in this first video, but I did get just a little over 100k a few different times with it. I'd say it averaged between 90 to 105-ish in that area. With this build, I've definitely seen more of an average between 120 to 140 in that range. So it's definitely been an improvement. So we're going upward. That's always the thing we want when we're making changes, to see that they're actually going to help the build get better. But already I have some ideas, some things based off of what other people are having success with, based on just things I kind of theorized that I wanted to try. So in our next video based on this in the search for DPS, we'll go over those. It's still going to be on the same ship because I still believe the Tactical Scimitar to be the best ship right now for DPS on my ROM. So take a look at the run, take a look at the parse, and see you guys next time. Thanks.